All right, new Falls Count Anywhere podcast. I'm your host, Ernest, EJ Christian. If you're surprised, I'm back after only 6 days of a hiatus. Yes, I cut into my time because we had to. Um, SummerSlam was pretty consequential this weekend. And I told Rob, listen, I think we have to cut into the hiatus and this thing because yeah, this can't wait 2 weeks. So, as always, joined by my man Rob the Genius, 1/3 of my Special Podcast. Also, host of the Rob Genius Podcast. As I said, I was supposed to be on hiatus for the next 2 weeks. I made it through 6 days. I mean, the deal was a week only, first off, and then I leaned into 2 weeks. Look, honestly, I didn't think SummerSlam would be as big a deal this year. I didn't think anything massive to the point where like, okay, nothing to react to. Nah, son. And this is also with me being on vacation with my family for the weekend. I was away for the weekend with my family in Orlando at Disney, and I was still able to watch most of the shows on both nights. Like first off, 2025. Thank God for mobile phones, right? Number one, so I can still watch while I'm on the go. So I was able to watch most of the matches. Obviously, I missed a few here and there, spots here and there, but I caught the main things, all the big things that happened. For example, when I saw Seth's cashing in, I was at a luau with my friends, and I had SummerSlam playing in the background while I was having a conversation with them. But once I saw the cash in, I was glued to the screen. So anyway, first off, Rob, how you doing? Number one.
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah.
And
All right.
since
So
I was there night one.
you were. I know. How first off, how was the weather there? Was it warm? Too hot?
Oh, it was perfect, man. It was perfect weather to be sitting in a stadium, an outdoor stadium, watching something.
Good. Because I will be in that same stadium in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I need to know how things are out there. We got a loaded show today. Well, like I said, I have a topics outside of the SummerSlam review and the Fallout planned, but I don't know how long we're gonna go with the Fallout because a lot to get to. We got a lot happening this weekend. You see the title. If you guys knows the title of the episode today, that's how I feel. And my boy Brock is back, so we'll react to that in a second. Let's start with the. I guess what we can do. We can probably go match for match here if you want to open up. Now I missed the opening match
Okay.
from night one between Roman and Jey Uso versus obviously Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. I missed that match obviously. From what I'm hearing, it was a fantastic match.
Oh, it was. It was.
The clip I did see though at the end of the match was Roman cussing out Paul Heyman, calling you are a dumbass, you are a dumbass motherfucker, and they beat it out a couple of times. That shit's cool. Number one. I mean that match did that match even advance anything in that feud other than the tribal thief whole thing with the Bronson Reed stealing sneakers?
Oh man, look, Bronson Reed just a hoot with with the sneakers and all of that.
Yeah, dude.
Um, I mean, the match didn't really advance anything, but I mean, it was an excellent opener, and seeing Jey Uso's entrance in person is, I mean, it takes it to a whole other different level. And acting where he walked in was like one section over from where I was sitting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so we got to see that, and then of course Roman's entrance is a whole other thing unto itself.
By the way, Roman's entrance, not to cut you off quick. I don't mind the new song he's had for the last year. I still miss the regular Tribal Chief song. I want that back.
Yeah, um, and and then there's a fun part in the opener because Jay now does an encore on his entrance now. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know if you've seen like the past couple of weeks, but so like they did like the first kind of sequence in the match, and then they sent Bronson and Braun Breaker outside to the ring, and then they did the encore and they hit the music again,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean it was an excellent opener and it was a lot of fun, and I mean the only knock on it was that basically it was that they soaked up all the energy in the audience in the first match.
Yeah,
And
but I think you realize too. Also, because obviously, if you want to predict these things, how things are going to go for the main events and all that stuff, typically how the match, how the lineup, how the matches are laid out, typically is a clue. Having this match, which we all thought was the main event, this one going first was a massive clue that Gunther match
yeah,
was a massive clue that something's big's gonna happen on the tail of this whole show.
yeah, because we told last week. I told Jason, my co-host on the Mindless Wrestling podcast, that he had gotten me to come around to being a 50-50 believer in what might have happened, what ultimately did happen at the end of the show. So when Roman and Jay came out first, that immediately sent the probability from 50-50 to 75, because them being out there first.
And be honest with you,
Yeah, so them being out there first also meant that they would not be there at the end if they would have been inclined to try and prevent what was going to happen.
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So yeah, I didn't think anything happened really with advanced other than the whole Roman Heyman thing. Really, anything else? I think that whole match is pretty much filed in the back pocket for now until that might have more consequences down the road at Survivor Series. Maybe we'll see how that plays out. I was with Seth, and because one of the things I'm noticing now, especially with watching Raw last night, is like a lot of these storylines coming full circle. We have a lot of really great stories right now going into the fall, um, which I think may help ratings this fall, because typically, we all acknowledge that this time of year after SummerSlam going into September, it's cruise control time for not just for the WWE but for wrestling in general. But there are right now across the board a lot of really, really, really intriguing storylines. Not just the top of the card either, but even in the mid cards that might ratings might be a little higher this time around because of that. You know, and I think this story here, with the Seth thing, we'll get to the second, is going to certainly keep things spicy going into Royal Rumble eventually in a few months. What do you think about that?
That's the hope, because I mean, yeah, because like sometimes they do, like, after SummerSlam, things do kind of get dialed down a bit, and some of that is because you know previously they would get murdered by, not murdered. I mean, they would lose a lot of their audience in Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
Um, so now with them being on Netflix, now it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, because Netflix viewing numbers are tracked over the course of the next, the 7 days from when the show is broadcast. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not, people, you know, the people who they would have normally, who they would have lost to Monday Night Football back when they were on cable. It's going to be interesting to see if those people actually do watch it later on in the week now,
yeah,
because now that they'll be able to, right?
yeah.
So it's possible that the 7 day viewing numbers, that it's possible that they won't drop, because because again, previously, before this year, you had to get counted for ratings or whatever. You had to watch it, I think, within like 24 hours of the live broadcast or something like that. Um, and so, no, look, if you were going to watch Monday Night Football, then you probably weren't going to watch Raw that night,
Hmm.
But now, that you can watch it later, the question, will some of the people who would have just not watched it that week, will they now watch it later if they have Netflix now that they can?
Right.
Right. That's kind of the $1 million question. We're going to find that out this fall. And in the event that they do, I mean, you do want to have, I mean, you do want to have things going on, and not just, it's, if you can avoid going to cruise control, it'd be good too. And at least this year, the way things are set up, I mean, I don't think they're going to go on cruise control, because
No.
with Cena around for the rest of the year, right?
No,
I
and,
don't think
and,
they're
and
going
that's
to
the
do
thing that's going to help out. The seating portion of this is going to really help. I don't think ratings will fall in the tank, definitely, in comparison to, you know what they were, every year since when this time of year comes around. So at least the WWE has a fighting chance to really stay relevant even through football season. Let's just race some of these matches real quick. So Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, new tag champions, women's side, defeating Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. We all predicted, predicted that on the show that this will build into probably the Rumble. This will be a nice little match, a nice little feud or storyline until they break up. I see this going to WrestleMania. They meet at WrestleMania at some point, But for now, it's going away. It's going away. It should, honestly.
Yeah. And what's nice is that, I mean, this puts some more juice into the tag team division. Because look, I mean, there's the women's tag team titles are often complained about by a lot of people the way that they're booked. And basically, look, it's from the time that were created, it all depends on who's holding them. If you have if you have some of the bigger names holding them, they treat them better. And so, I mean, you got two of the biggest names out there holding the belts now. So, if it follows the same pattern it's always followed, they're going to be on TV. They're going to get defended more. They might get defended on the PLE here or there. And it'll just be overall better usage of them than when some of the ladies who are not that high up are holding them. So and look, they had a fun. I thought it was a good fun match, and look, well, I'm always happy to see the 14-time women's champion in action. But I mean, yeah, and I think her and Alexa are like they're really good together.
They are together, and this is the first time. Like I know we count the stuff she did with Bray, but for me personally, this is the first time in my 6 years back of watch wrestling where I actually really care about Alexa Bliss in a big way, not just like as like oh she's beautiful and this and that, she's in a good storyline with Bray Wyatt, but we discussed on the show last week. Alexa has not really been in a prominent feud as because remember her peak run was like 2017 to 2018,
Yeah.
and this is the first time like I for me anyway that Alexa feels very important now, and where it's going obviously, like we're gonna get obviously most likely a Charlotte Alexa breakup and feud at some point down the road. That's a big deal. Alexa and Charlotte, you with arguably the greatest women's wrestler of all time. So Alexa is, in my opinion, with this whole storyline with them being this tag team and all that, she's come back to prominence again.
Yeah, and I'd say as an in-ring worker more than anything else, because she's one of those people who doesn't get that get a lot of credit for her ring work. But if you watch that match, then you can tell. Look, she's a very good in-ring worker. It's just people. I mean, some people underrate her because of her size.
Well,
and
I
also,
do. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, but see, in this context though, well, and also because it helped that they, the people they're going against, Raquel's a big girl, but Roxanne is also smaller, right? So
I say I did, not anymore. I don't do that anymore. I did for years. Never understood why she's so big. And then I see the girls like Charlotte and Becky who are much bigger in size. Like, why is Alexa a top star? And now I'm seeing it.
Well, she originally got popular for superficial reasons. Okay, yes. But beyond that, she is, when she actually gets a chance to actually work in the ring, she is very good. Okay,
Yeah,
and she's better than I'll dare say she's in the top half of the in-ring workers on the women's roster, and and but she just doesn't get credit for it because again, well, because of her size, because of the original reason she got popular, and also because she doesn't have a background that the IWC respects. Basically, she's another one who just she's another one. She's a PC product. She came in there, more or less off the street. She tried out or whatever, and she got chosen. But she doesn't have any type of indie wrestling background or anything like that. So she's another one that the IWC doesn't really. Some of the IWC does not really respect her pathway. but again, she's much better than they give her credit for,
Right.
and we'll get to see it here. We saw it here, not just at SummerSlam, and then last night, and then they had the rematch. Um, and her and Charlotte work really well together because look, they've known each other for a long time. They were in NXT together. That's they've known each other for over a decade. Um, and that stuff matters. Like having history together, having experience working with each other, it matters. Okay, it matters a lot. And so I think so for both of them, again, they work really well together, and I'm really looking forward to this little run they're going to have, however it goes.
Yeah.
Hope I just hope they don't end it too quickly, right? I wanted it to have a good. I want it to run its full course, and like you said, this could ultimately end up in a WrestleMania match. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Abs-
I hope that they creatively they play their cards right and they give it time and all that good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let's run through some of these night one matches here quickly.
Okay,
Sami Zayn defeated Karrion Kross by pinfall. Um, this
that
is
was the
not
worst match.
this is not on Sami. I love Sami Zayn. He didn't need to win. He didn't need it. Karrion Kross needs to rub here. Now we have heard that Karrion Kross's contract is coming up, and maybe that's played into this, I guess. But he was
Yeah.
running really well in the last couple months on TV since WrestleMania. So I don't know. Maybe the contract thing was the reason why they went this route, but I thought otherwise Karrion Kross should not win here. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, it's just to me, it's kind of like, okay, if what's the point of giving it more time? What's the point of giving them a bit of a push here? If it always ends the same way with them, right? They'll build them up for a while, and it looks like they might be doing something with them, and then he gets to an important match or a pivotal match, and then he always loses. And this is one, yeah. If they're interested in doing anything with him, then he should have. Then I don't see how you don't book him to win this match. I mean, I
At the very least, I've been less bothered about this loss if he had won a Night of Champions.
yeah,
But he took all the L's here in this whole entire feud.
yeah. He took
All,
both. I mean, yeah, and he won. He won on TV, but he won the pay-per-view matches. He lost both of them,
yeah,
and yeah, it's just and then that leaves an impression. You know, it leaves an impression.
yeah.
Um,
Not a fan of that one. All right, this match here, I missed this match, but I'll lean on you here. Tiffany Stratton retains the title, defeating Jade Cargill. How did you like this match? Did Jade perform well
um,
to your satisfaction? That's a
it
no. Okay,
was.
long pause there. It's a no. Yep,
I mean,
it's a
it
no.
was. Look, it only went 7 minutes,
Well,
and
which we expected, of course.
what I think. Okay, I expected it to go longer than that. I mean,
Okay,
it
nine
went.
minutes.
I mean, it went. I mean, 7 minutes, and it just kind of ended flat. I mean, like her and Tiffany both like okay. They were just kind of trading moves basically, and like the kind of in between stuff. Like neither one of them, they weren't doing it, and they don't. And I just feel like you know what? I don't know. I think this kind of for me, this says something about their development, both of them, because this was this should have been their both of their big showcase to show how they progressed, and they got 7 minutes,
But
and
was that more about Jade or more about both? Like Tiffany,
both because look,
I thought Tiffany was okay. I thought Tiffany will get Charlotte in the Mania match.
um, they were like it's one of those things like if you like because they went almost 20 minutes and like they were like there were some times where she was. I mean, like again, if you're somebody who really like really really you know looks at stuff with a really fine tooth comb. I mean, and actually several people on my Twitter timeline were pointing it out at the time. There were just times where she was just out of place, and Charlotte had to get her in place for a bunch of different things, uh, and since then, I mean, her matches have been they've either been short or they've been like they've had a bunch of run-ins or they've been like, no DQ matches, like since that WrestleMania match, they've kind of, I guess, protected her more uh, as far as what she does in the ring, for her matches. Um, because like her and Trish only went like 8 minutes at Evolution. They had like the shortest match
Mm,
of the night.
yeah.
So again, so I mean, there's a pattern, right? And her and Jade barely interacted before this match on TV, like, um, and so it's just, and look. I mean, they obviously they will tell you otherwise if you were to ask them, right? The Hunter or whoever, but I mean, at times, like you gotta look at, if you're gonna, you look at how much time people are getting to do stuff and all of that, and so for me, for this, I mean, it had a very just kind of flat ending. And again, they traded moves for 7 minutes, and then Tiffany hit her finisher, and it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised they didn't pull the trigger on this one, but that's just
Oh,
me.
that's the other thing I think a lot of us were expecting because another the other thing was that as much time as they put into building up Jade, and and as much as they did everything they could to not expose her shortcomings, and they had her win Queen of the Ring, and they had her beat Naomi a couple of times, right? And so it looked like they were building her up to win the belt, and then also the fact that Tiffany's been champion since January, and um,
That's true. She's been champion a while now. She's been
yeah,
champion
and it's
now.
just kind of like I mean,
I mean, it hasn't been a terrible reign. It just hasn't been. It's just like okay. It's
it was
been
kind of it's just kind of
for
uneventful. Put it this way, I
yeah,
mean, out of all the women's stuff going on right now, or at least most, like what she's doing is the least interesting.
yeah. The Becky's doing more better stuff right now. Lyra's doing better stuff right now than Tiffany. I agree with that. All right, next match here. I caught a little bit of this match actually, bits and pieces though. But Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul defeat Randy Orton, Jelly Roll. Thought Jelly Roll did pretty good here.
Oh, he did. I'm like, he did, and hats off to him. And look, we all, I'm not, I figured he would because here's the thing, um, if you're if they're gonna go through with it and put you in these matches, if you're one of the celebrity people, now they have to, they don't put you out there unless you really get it down because they told Travis Scott basically to take a hike.
Thank God, he was terrible.
No, yeah, he was terrible, and he never got any better. And they just yeah, I mean, so the fact that they went all the way through with this, that it meant that Jelly Roll was getting it, and the people he worked with spoke highly of him. So and he did well. He really did. He did do well. And look, like the spot where he came back to the ring, when they were carrying him out, that was really well done. I mean, the crowd blew up for that. I mean, and at first, I was kind of surprised that Drew and Logan won, but um, in hindsight, it makes more sense that they won because they're both, in terms of where they are on the roster, they're both serious contenders or what have you, both of
Yeah.
them.
hmm
And so, like, because like a couple of years ago when they had like Miz and John Morrison against Priest and Bad Bunny, Miz and Morrison were more, you know, comedy type of wrestlers, and you could have them lose to a celebrity in a celebrity tag team match, but having Drew and Logan lose to a celebrity in a celebrity tag team match, So
The believability factor goes a little out the window at that point when you start doing that.
yeah, it does, and that's the thing.
I'm
Yeah,
with you. I'm 100% with you on that one. All right, and finally the big one. This match went number one, 30 minutes 20 seconds.
yeah.
CM Punk, what a match! CM Punk defeating Gunther by pinfall. Um, you know, I Gunther might be the best worker in the entire roster, male or female. Let's be
Oh,
real. That
yes,
motherfucker puts his work. It doesn't matter who it is. He's putting his work boots in every single time.
yeah, and then the fact that I mean, if I had to pick a wrestler of the year, um, just in terms of ring work, it would be him. And I mean, the fact, look, again, going back to the fact that he got that kind of match out of Goldberg, you know,
Yeah,
that is something, and this was excellent, and this was kind of like an old school NWA style kind of match
yep.
in terms of like the pacing and all that type of stuff.
Very,
Uh,
very, very steady, and because remember, Punk's a little older. Is late 40s, so you can't.
yeah,
He can't for him to go 30 minutes. So that makes sense. And with Gunther, that man, wrestler of the year, I'm with you. And that's saying something for a guy that has lost the title twice on the two biggest shows of the year, and we can still say that. That's saying
yeah,
something.
and the fact, but I mean, when he does lose, like like the way he loses always it plays into his character. He never like he doesn't look like a bum. Right. In this case, he got a little full of himself, and then Punk yanked his feet out of him, and he banged his head on the table, and then and he got busted open, and that freaked him out
Yep.
because that doesn't happen to him, right? So he freaked out over getting busted open, and then that gave Punk his opening to get in there and finish him off. And so it was. I mean, it was excellent. Just the way they told that story and the match and the pacing and like everything was excellent in that.
Yeah. I can agree more. Now Punk won the match, right? Yes.
Yes.
However, he did not leave the building with the title because Seth Rollins comes back, reveals that the injury is indeed fake.
Yes.
Um, and he came in and cashed in on Punk. The only thing, for the record, I actually changed my mind. By the time we rolled around the Saturday morning, I was convinced Seth Rollins was going to cash in on one of these titles. And then when I saw that the first match was Roman and Roman on top of the card, I said it's going to happen tonight. It's happening tonight. Seth is going to cash on Punk. He won't cash on Gunther. The only thing I wish they had done is that I thought the way we mapped it out on the show last week was that we get Gunther losing to Punk. Punk celebrates. Gunther jumps in and starts attacking him, cripples him, and then Seth comes down. But we had the whole big reveal. He's like on crutches. He turns around, drops the crutches, and then he walks down the aisle. And of course, Punk is tired as hell after going 30 minutes with Gunther. You know, I mean, yes, you can. I believe you can believe that too. Also, but at the same time, it's a little more believable if Gunther had beaten him up after. I don't know.
Or,
All in
or
all,
I
go ahead.
thought that either that should because Gunther he was busted open and everything. So, but you could have easily because the Punk was looking at Rollins coming up the aisle. You could have easily had Bronson Reed or just sneaking from
Oh, right.
behind.
That's what would happen anyway. When I saw him going down, I was like, oh, so what? We'll go behind. That didn't
Yeah,
happen.
because that's what I was doing actually. I was looking, as Rollins was walking to the ring, I was looking behind Punk to see if one of those guys was going to attack him.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I mean, that's what I was I mean, that's what I was because to me that would have made it better.
yeah,
If they had done that, and then Punk wouldn't have been able to fight back at all because
yeah.
now the way it went, like he could have just run out the back of the ring and just ran away. I mean, he didn't have to stay there. You know, um, I mean and again that's the only criticism I have of it. But
But they wanted to show that was fake. They wanted to show the whole reveal. That was important
yeah,
to,
and so yeah, so to
and I
that
get
end,
that. Right. So that
yeah.
so that and I had no problem with it in the end. I gotta tell you, I was thinking about this. I'm watching Seth come down, the reaction, and on this podcast last couple of years, we've been having discussions about Seth Rollins. You and I, other people on the coming to the show about where he places all time. I think after this run he goes on here with the title, there's an argument that he's probably a top 15 guy all time.
Yeah. Um, and because look, he joins the two-time cash-in club.
Yeah.
That's Edge, The Miz, Um, who else? There's somebody else that's done it twice. There's at least one. I know there's one other person that's done it twice.
Any
But
female? No, none of the female, right?
no, not yet. No, none of them have done. None of them. But I think because there's at least cause so Edge did. Oh, and Punk. Yeah, Edge, Punk, and Miz have all done it twice. So now he joins them. He is now a two-time, briefcase cash-in person. Um, so he joined that club, and
Yeah,
look, he's
Punk and Miz. That's it. And then now
yeah,
Seth.
and so he's won a Royal Rumble. Um, of course, he had to win the briefcase twice to cash it in twice, so he's done that. And he finally, he got his, you know, WrestleMania main event. He has two of them now, but this year he got one where, he just wasn't the tag team partner. He was in there on his own behalf. So yeah, I mean, I think top 15. Look, I gotta go
Look,
work my
they're a list, Rob. You and I go through these lists that
yeah.
has Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho and all these guys in the top
Well, no,
15.
he's ahead of them.
He's ahead of them now. It's not even like and I'll go further than this. It's not a conversation anymore. And then people say, "Oh, you're being person of the moment." First off, you guys know me in the show. I lean more on the nostalgia than the new stuff. I am a lot more bullish on giving guys today more credit. So for me to say Seth Rollins is in that conversation for 15 is saying something, because I would not normally do that to a lot of guys and gals today. Seth Rollins, in my opinion, is he's there for me.
Oh no, he's ahead of Kurt Angle, definitely.
Jericho too, I think.
Oh yeah, at this point, yes. And because Jericho never had this type of run at the top ever. And Kurt Angle, remember Kurt Angle only worked in WWE for 7 years.
Yeah,
he spent more time in TNA.
He did. He sure did.
So and during that time in WWE, I mean, he did not. I mean, Seth Rollins has accumulated more things, and he's main evented more WrestleManias, and he's had more matches against big name people, and what have you. So, yeah, no, he's definitely ahead of Kurt Angle. Like right now, I mean, because I mean, of course, you got Hogan, Austin, Rock, Cena, Roman. They're all ahead of him.
Baker, Michaels, Brett,
Taker's ahead of him. Shawn and Hunter are ahead of him. Yes. I'd have Randy ahead of him because for longevity still.
Right.
But that's 9 men, right?
Savage 10.
Oh, Savage. Okay, yes, Savage. That's 10. And those, all right, and those are 10 guys who were either, they were either more popular, bigger stars, or they're more accomplished, or maybe both. Okay, so that's 10 guys. And then, okay, if you want to put Brock ahead of him, that's okay. That'd be 11. So he's somewhere between 12 and 15, I think.
And that's really good.
Yeah, and then I mean, it just comes down to like, yeah. I mean, it comes down to like how you judge people, like Roddy Piper, right? Who was look, I mean, obvious Piper was a bigger deal.
I would put him ahead of Piper at this point. Though he's had a better.
Oh, he's far more accomplished than Roddy Piper,
right. And time served at this point too as well.
Yeah, and also, and then and can't leave out Brett. Okay, and so he's somewhere in 12 to 15. Yeah.
And I'll tease him real quick. For listeners real quick. You, myself, and our old friend DJ Mentor, your co-host, also on my podcast, we have discussed doing our own top 50 or 40 list, all the time. Now we're gonna compare. We're not gonna have one list. We're gonna compare the list. This is a project we work on. We don't know when we're gonna do this. Although I imagine we'll start working on a list now, whenever. At some point, I like to get this list done, like this thing done, maybe by late this year, early next year. To give us some time to dive into these lists. but we're gonna do something of that nature. We're gonna probably do a 5 episode series. If we do top 50, we'll do a 5 episode series. We're breaking them by tens, of course. But that's a little breaking news here. We're gonna call that. As for Punk, well, first off, Gunther kind of like taking a break now. Maybe take a little time off.
Oh, because he has actually he's getting some type of there's a report he's getting like some type of surgery on his nose or something. He has some problem with his nose.
That makes
There's
sense. He lost that. And he deserves time. I'll be honest with you.
oh yeah,
Right
he
now,
does.
with the where they're at now with the storylines, and I'm not gonna say they don't need him because he's great, but he can breathe a little bit. He'll have a spot. He's now a made man now where he can come back in 6 months around Rumble or whatever, and he'll fit right in immediately once things like he'll be the next like surprise return, if you will, down the road. You have enough going on. Roman, Brock is back. Roman, you have a lot going on there. Gunther going to take a little bit of a breather, and then come back in January, leading into WrestleMania season.
That and then also, I mean, he's one of those people that, I mean, like he has pretty much one lane. You can book him in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a guy. He should be holding the world championship or challenging for it. And if you don't have anything for him to do, on that front, then yeah, you just give him time off. I mean, like
he's easy. He's actually easy to reheat.
Yeah,
easy to
and just right now, I mean, that's kind of what he is. He's a guy who holds the world title, right? And if you don't have anything, other than that for him to do right now, then the best thing to do is give him time off.
Yeah, that's okay. There's nothing going on now. Top of the card where he can use the break. It's fine, and that's a positive. That's not again nothing against him. He's fantastic. So they still need him, but he can breathe a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's. Oh yeah, and Punk. So obviously we're going to have Punk and Seth go at it a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe Clash of Paris. Maybe we'll see. Punk doesn't need a title. To be honest with you, doesn't need a title, in my opinion.
Well, no, and because he's one of the few people that because he's such a great talker and all of that. No, he can do feuds without the title involved, and keep people interested. Yes,
right. Hence the last 2 years. So there you go.
Yeah, but of course, but you do have to at some point, you have to at least give him title matches at some point because
he lost to us.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's just, I mean,
joking first.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if I think it'd be good to give him at least. Didn't have to be like a year-long title reign or something, but just give him a real one before he's finished.
Agreed. All right. So night 2. All right, night 2. True that match, the Women's World Championship. Naomi defeats Rhea Ripley and Io Sky by pinfall. Triple H.
Yeah, got incredible.
Well done. Reward my girl. And by the way, because I missed the intro. I watched the match though, but I watched it when they started like about 5 minutes in. Her intro, beautiful.
Oh yeah,
beautiful intro. You can still get emotional too going down the ring. Like you want to cry. Beautiful moment for Naomi.
And it's just see her finally get that kind of treatment, right? Because for so many years she's been put in a position where she's had to hold somebody's hand and babysit them and basically help bring somebody else along who they were hoping to make into a big deal.
You said it yourself last week on the show. She arguably on that side of the roster, probably the most compelling character in the entire year.
Well, to me, there's no problem to it. She is. And look, as far as just pure character work in the entire wrestling business, to me, it's her and Tony Storm and AEW, and that's it. Like nobody else from a character standpoint is doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
and
I'm
so
glad they support her. I'm just
Yeah.
glad we're working. I'm so proud of her. I'm proud of what she's doing. I've been one of the biggest when I came back 2019 and saw Naomi. She came back. I think she was out for injury. She came back about maybe a couple months later after that. And I remember saying, even through the pandemic, like saying like, why is she not in the title picture? Why is she not being used as one of the top girls in the company? She's way too talented to be used in the way she was. So I've been advocating for Naomi from day one.
Oh yeah, and
I'm just like, ours, man. Thank God.
yeah, and look, I mean, going into this match, I wasn't sure. A lot of us were nervous that she was just there to basically to lose. Um, but obviously she was not,
What
and
were we wrong? WrestleMania.
yeah.
What were we wrong?
Oh yeah, and look at this one. Like, I'm happy to be wrong. This was one of those times where I'm happy to be wrong. Uh, and so yeah, man, it was great. It was great to see that happen. And I'm just so happy to see her get the big intro and get to win the match
And a great match at that
because
too.
yeah. And another thing is that in these triple threat matches at SummerSlam, because I looked it up, there've been like 2 or 3 times they've had a women's title triple threat match at SummerSlam, and the title changed every time. So history was not on her side either.
Yeah. So great job on Hunter. Sticking it here.
Yeah, and just you know what? Because look, yeah, I mean, look, is I of course I have been critical of him many times, but this is one time where I get when he 100% he nailed it on this one.
Yeah. By the way, Rhea Ripley again. Keep her in chase mode. She's still red hot. Doesn't need a title right now. EO, great in ring. Obviously, those girls will do what they do. But yeah, I'm so glad Naomi got to keep the title and a great match to boot. All right, the 6-pack tables, ladders, and chairs match. The White Six defeat Andre and Phoenix, DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits, and am I missing anything else?
Yeah,
And
fraction.
Fraction. Car crash, organized chaos. When I watch this match,
Yeah,
it,
I mean, man,
Rob, is it wrong? Is it wrong that not to me personal moment, but I'm watching this match and I'm saying to myself, and I know the bar that the original TLC matches set, and I know it's a really high bar, and it deserves that billing. I was saying to myself in real time that this might be the greatest TLC match I've ever seen in my life.
um,
It was
I
really good.
didn't like the finish. The finish was kind of
Okay.
uh, that's the only thing.
Okay.
Um, but up until the finish, yeah, if you wanted to, I would not argue with you if you were going to say that.
Organized chaos.
Yeah,
That's what I saw.
it was, and I mean, big ass Angelo Dawkins did the Spanish fly out from the top rope out to a table on the floor. Um, I mean, that's just nuts. And then the thing with Candice LeRae getting knocked off the
Who did
ladder.
that? Was that kayfabe hurt? Or was she really hurt? You think? Because I don't know.
Well, look, okay, she was hurt, yes, because there's no way you take that and it did not hurt.
God bless
Okay.
her for her entertainment. God bless her. Right? Jeez.
Oh, but she, she was an indie wrestler before she came to WWE, and she did shit like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. If you only know her from what you've seen in NXT and in WWE, she is a daredevil, man.
Yeah, she is insane.
Yeah,
She's insane. But God bless her. All
yeah,
right. Yeah, Becky Lynch defeat Lyra Valkyria by pinfall. But no DQ, no count on last chance match. So now that Becky retains the title, Lyra can no longer challenge for the title as long as Lynch is champion. Um,
yeah.
I guess my question is this. Because they'll have Lyra will probably be feuding with Bailey at this point now, which is fine.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
It's more of a because you can look at it and say like, well, they lost confidence in Lyra, and I don't know if that's the case. To be honest with you,
Um.
I could be with you thinking that Lyra people care about Lyra more than they did 5 months ago.
Yeah, and I guess the question will be how much. Okay, the next couple of weeks we'll find out. Right. well, that's what we'll find. Remember, I've been saying all along. What's going to matter is what happens after this is over. Now I was anticipating her being the Intercontinental Champion after this was over. So now we'll find out. Um, because now she won't be feuding with Becky, and she won't have the title. And so now, there'll be a question because look, how much time are they going to get? First of all, because we saw Monday. I mean, her and Bailey had like a backstage thing in like 30 seconds, right? You know, are they going to give them TV time, enough TV time to?
Bailey and Lyra.
Yeah, that.
I
I
don't see
mean,
why they wouldn't.
um,
They're already teasing the feud for a while now on the fringes of the Becky feud.
yeah. Well, I look at Monday and like, cause Monday, all right. So Becky had a whole promo, or Nikki Bella had a thing, and then Rhea and Io had a little thing backstage, and then they had a tag team title match. Now look, Charlotte and Alexa are not going to be on Raw every week, right? Because they're SmackDown wrestlers, so they
Right.
won't be there every week. And then of course you got Naomi there. She's the world champion there. So like there's a real question as to how much time are they going to give them? Will they give them enough time to really get that thing over? Um, and where are they going to have their matches, right? Will they get to have a PLE match? Bailey and Lyra, will
Uh,
they? I don't know. Um, so a lot of it just depends on how much time they get and if they get a chance to really do something with it. But I was surprised that I really was surprised that Becky won this because I just
um,
yeah I just yeah
yes and no, but I feel like Becky. So I'll be honest with you, Becky. I've never been the biggest Becky Lynch fan until recently. Like this heel run she's on now since April is really good. It's this one's sticking. The first heel run she did. Now I know she was a heel before then, before her world title. When she won the Raw title back in 19. I know she was a heel for a while even before that. But the first heel run she did with Bianca and all that never really was never believable to me, honestly. This heel run though is really working for me. It's making me respect her even more. Um, and I think so. I think Becky having that title is going to put even more shine on the title.
well yeah,
So
no it does and that's the thing, it does. So because look, there's a real good chance that after if Lyra kept it won a title back, there's a real good chance that she would have gotten kind of relegated again, even
right,
being
and,
Intercontinental Champion.
and there's
So
more, and there's more. Again, we say this all the time because it rings true. There is a lot more value in the chase. I think Lyra will continue to have more sympathy being in chase mode.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, because well, the other thing is that with all of these, well, there's a dilemma with the tag team belts and with the mid card titles with on the women's side, because if to get the maximum juice out of them, it's better to put them on bigger name people, right?
Yeah.
But they were created with the intention of getting some of the not bigger name people a chance to do some stuff and possibly get themselves over, right? Um,
Well, technically, it did work because we now
well,
care about Lyra more than we did back in April.
but it didn't. But it didn't really work with Lyra until she started feuding with Becky.
True. And
So
honestly, we need to see. I think even I don't. I think even the Bailey feud is going to be great, but we won't know if this is going to work with her until after the Bailey feud's over, and where that goes.
well, because I guess now I'll say this is not a knock on Bailey, but her stuff doesn't quite register as far as things like views and whatnot doesn't quite register as much as some of the other women. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's tough booking those mid card and those tag team titles because we look like the women's U.S. title right now. Um, you know, Julia hasn't really gotten to that point of being a big name person, and so we're seeing basically she shows up every 4 weeks and has a match, and then other than that, it's like maybe you might see her for 30 seconds that week. Um, so we'll see what I mean because the key is with Lyra is okay. Do people that was there interest in her feuding with Becky? Yes. Um, are people going to be interested in her doing something with anybody else or with people who are not Becky? That's the question, right? Are people invested enough in her to be interested in her doing something with somebody who's not Becky or not Rhea Ripley or whatever, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see. And that's Jerry's
We'll
still out
see.
on that.
Yeah. All right. Steel cage match for the U.S. title. Solo Sikoa retains, defeating Jacob Fatu by escaping cage. This is a fun match.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, a lot of people crapped on it. Or like the people who review matches and stuff were not big on it, but it was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
it was probably the low point of the show Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. And because I think this feud is going to go for a while. We're still in like the second inning or third inning of this feud. So I think most people probably agreed that Soul's going to win this match.
I think a lot of people I talked to or whatever, or read or whatever, thought that Jake was just gonna win the title back. But like I said, last week, I mean, Solo he had more people. I mean, so
And
and that's what
that's
ultimately what happened. You know, and because Jimmy came out to help Jacob, but Solo had he had Tonga Loa, he had
Noah.
JC Mateo, and he had Tala Tonga. He had three guys to help him. So you know, three beats one. So
Yeah. And I mean, look, you won't probably until Roman gets involved in this feud, which I'm sure he will at some point down the road. It'll be this way. So this story has a lot of legs in it. Like I said, we're only in the third inning in this feud, so no surprise here. I caught the I watched highlights of this match actually this morning. Don Mysterio retains defeating AJ Styles by pinfall to retain the IC title. First off, love the tributes to Eddie Guerrero in the beginning from both guys.
yeah.
Beautiful from AJ, beautiful from Dominic. Really fun match. Love the spot with the fake chairs. That was fantastic. The fake chairs, sure shot, and
Yes.
then AJ counters at that.
Oh,
Phenomenal.
and when AJ wrapped the chair around his neck and fell out.
Yep. Great sports entertainment stuff there. And again, I'm glad they're sticking it with Dominic. I'm glad. What did I tell you back in April and even months after that? This run reminds me of Honky Tonk Man's run in 87 to 88. Like, he's getting away with a lot of shit. He's getting away with everything. And that's what made that run as IC champion amazing. Is that he was getting away with all the bullshit. He was escaping some of the biggest names in the company. Escaping Jake, escaping Randy Savage, escaping Ricky Steamboat. Same here with Dominic. He's escaping, AJ Styles and guys of that ilk, and it's giving more promise that title. So whoever beats him, whether it's in January or beyond, it's going to mean something.
Yeah, and then also there's a good chance he may win the AAA championship.
There you go. Dominic is red hot right now. Red hot. Like even outside the bubble of WWE. He was on TMZ earlier today. There's a thing on TMZ that came out like actually about 2 hours ago. We were spot outside. We said something to the point of he said that SummerSlam wasn't his best match, but he's getting better. He really is. He really is. So job well done by those two guys there. And then finally the big one, the street fight for the Undisputed Championship. Cody Rhodes gets back his title, defeats John Cena by pinfall. Now, we recorded the preview show on Tuesday last week.
Yes.
John Cena turned babyface, by the way. I know last time we had a chance to talk about this on the show.
Yeah.
Before the match, John Cena turned babyface on Friday night on SmackDown. So, now we had no idea if it would stick, and then his intro coming to the match Went back to the old school intro, John Cena. Same music, everything, but back to the colorful thing again. He's wearing the belt frontwards like normal, and he's cheering the crowd on, this and that. And we all thought him in a swerve. It's not a swerve. He's a face again. So you called it, Rob. You said, I didn't think it'd be this soon. I'm wondering if they made this decision because it was not working, was not sticking. The heel run was not sticking.
Um,
Or
I think that's a thing that people like to say on the internet. I, if you look at all the relevant numbers that are available, it absolutely was working. Okay, um, you know, um, whether or not whatever we thought of it creatively, and look, I personally just if you ask me my opinion of like how good the stuff was on TV or whatever, yeah, look, I think it was up and down. There were some great segments, and there were some dog shit, particularly like the WrestleMania stuff. Um, but like everything he did was, I mean,
Mhm.
you know, um, the run to WrestleMania and the stuff we did with Randy and the stuff he did with our Truth, like all of that stuff. I mean, it all did numbers, man. It was all. I mean, except well, I guess even the stuff these last couple of weeks with Cody were kind of up and down, but yeah, I mean they still peaked pretty high, and so and look, and his name showed up the whole time amongst like the top merchandise sellers, and they got a different T-shirt for every town he's going to, and all of that type of thing. So my guess, look, put it this way, it succeeded where they wanted it to. I mean, um, it wasn't
Right.
always like yes, there were some weeks where it was where what we saw on TV wasn't particularly good, but it all succeeded. Um, I think look, I think they had a hard end date early. Just I think this is what it was always going to be. Go
And
from
that's what we did then. Yeah, and that's what ultimately did it in is the fact that you have an end date. If you put an end date on something, then there's really you're expecting something to change. Like everything had a okay. Well, we all say on the show every week that he's going to turn face at some point, no matter when, whether it's
right.
SummerSlam or Survivor Series or anything between. So we're not surprised he turned babyface. It's just the timing more than anything else. But I'm wondering if also this was pulled because of what we saw after the match, which to me was the biggest move
Well,
the whole entire week. Me,
I,
Brock Lesnar returning.
well, yeah, I think definitely. Look, that definitely plays a part in it. Yes. If they did not have Brock ready to go, then maybe we get a different outcome. I don't know, but um, but look,
I
I
don't know.
think this had a hard end on it. And if look, the original hard end was not at SummerSlam, maybe it would have been a month later or something. But he wasn't going to go all.
Because right, because it did feel very sudden on Friday. He's
Oh,
just
that did. That absolutely did, and which I think a lot of us thought it was
sure.
a deception of some kind.
Yeah, that's why it felt kind of like so abrupt and so. I'm not for the record. I'm not mad about it. I'm just
Oh no, no, no.
it makes sense in story. Like if this was like was did they call an audible on this thing, you know? But then the thought was okay, well maybe that was done in a way to maybe put some doubt into Cody turning heel. And look, I expect Cody. We've discussed we had as a topic a couple weeks ago on the show. We all expect Cody to turn heel at some point down the road. I just think right now it's too soon. There's much more money to be put in right now. He's one of the top two baby faces, male or female, in the company. Um, and I think we may get that down the road, maybe next year, maybe at WrestleMania next year. Who knows? But I think Cody turning heel right now is too soon because there's really no story right now to tell for that. Just the
And
more. Go ahead.
and also, the other thing is, who's going to do what he does?
Exactly.
I mean, and that's the thing people got to remember, right? Who's going like the specific role that he plays as not just being a babyface on TV, but all the stuff he does, you know, off the field, for lack of a better term, right?
Mhm.
Um, like there's nobody to do that if you turn him heel. And yes, you need somebody playing who plays a babyface on TV, doing all that type of stuff. And he's the first in many years. He's the first kind of just pure babyface character. Um, well, obviously since Cena, right? And look how many years they were trying to come up with what Cody is doing, right? I mean, when Cena started to wind things down in the mid 2010s, right? I mean, they tried with Roman being the babyface guy, and there was a lot of vocal opposition to that. They tried with Seth Rollins, and there ultimately was a good bit of opposition to that towards the end of it. Um, and nobody else really, nobody that they tried got it right, like Cody does here. And so no, you don't take it away, like because until you have somebody else who can do it, because that's you need that person in the wrestling company, right? Playing that role. Everything goes better when you have that person there or somebody doing that type of thing, right? Because look, I mean, we had Bruno, we had Bob Backlund, we had Hogan, of course, and then right, and then Austin was a different type of character, but ultimately, he was fighting the evil boss, so he was a good guy, right? And then and then of course they also ultimately got to Cena, right? And so that's what this company runs on, right?
Mhm.
Even if that guy is not the world champion, at the time or whatever, this company, the WWE throughout its going back to Vince Senior has, you know, it always does better when you have somebody being that type of ultra baby face. And that's what Cody is right now. Um, and you need that, right? You just do. And because Punk is more like kind of a counterculture kind of thing, and right, and as we said, same thing about Bianca on the women's side, right? Like you don't have anybody else on the women's side who does what she does and does it as well as she does, playing that role.
Right.
Because like Rhea is more like a countercultural figure,
Yep.
right? Um, but the kind of you know Captain America or Miss America type of baby face, you know, it's Cody on the men's side and it's still Bianca on the women's side, and you need you don't pull them out of that role until unless you have somebody else who can do it.
Right.
So you don't I just tell people don't get too impatient waiting for them, thinking they're going to be flipping Cody anytime soon because I just don't see it.
Right. So that having said that, because obviously we're going to see Cena and Brock do their thing for the next couple months. Obviously, having said
Yep.
that, for Cody, now that this is over, him and Cena is over now. That's done. Taken care of. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh
Move
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Where's Cody go to next?
I think you know what you just probably just give him challengers a month for a little while until and then Mania season. We'll see what kind of
Maybe,
transpires.
maybe Gunther. Maybe Gunther. Think it's back.
Maybe Gunther. They've hinted at him and Punk. You know, um,
Punk right now is dealing with Seth right now, so that's
yeah. But I think Seth's date is going to be with Roman because that's what I think.
maybe Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, and but I think for right now, it's just. I think for the next few months, it's just going to be kind of challenger of the month
Yeah,
for company. And I think, and look, you can do that. I mean, you can,
that's fine.
it's August. You can go the rest of the year just giving them challengers a
Right.
month.
It is, right. It has to be all. It has to always be all gas, no breaks. It could be challenge a month. Get a Drew here. Get it. Maybe get a little spicy Orton situation here. Babyface. Babyface. Well, they met at the King in the Ring, so technically that it would be easy to reheat if you wanted to do that babyface versus babyface thing. Um, but I suspect this goes two directions. Gunther when he gets back. Although we don't even know if Gunther's away for a while, we just assume as such. And then what my long game was Cody Roman 3 before Mania, and that's when you do the flip.
Um, yeah, I just right now Cody and Roman they don't seem to be on any type of trajectory to running to each other right now.
But
So
when they feud though, it will have to be Cody as a heel and Roman's a babyface this time. Change the roles on that one.
yeah, exactly. So and we don't know and we don't know how just Roman has kind of hinted that I think he said his contract's up next year and he's definitely coming back, after that. But um, after next year, then maybe 2 or 3 more years, because he's going to try to make a serious
Mhm.
push to get into the acting thing.
Yeah. How do you feel about Brock Lesnar returning? A lot of criticism on him returning. Obviously, the situation with the Vince lawsuit and his name was in the lawsuit and all that stuff. I have opinions. I put out a tweet today with my opinion about that. What's your personal thoughts on Brock being back and the criticism surrounding
Um,
it?
okay, so I guess now I have kind of calmed down a little bit. Um, my initial reaction was, "Oh, this is a really bad idea," um, because okay, but you have to get into like basically a bunch of legalese to say it's okay, right? Because he's not a defendant, but he's named several times, but again, he's not a defendant. She's not suing him. He hasn't been named in any criminal inquiry or anything like that. So to that end, um, you, I mean, he's in the clear, right? For him to, and like we do talk, it does become a slippery slope thing when you know over what people can get fired for. Um, Now I still think it's a bad look to have him around, given, because it sends a message to the women there that not so much to be afraid of him, but that, the other executives, the boys club, so to speak, that, if one of them starts carrying on the way that Vince did, that basically, as long as they're not stupid enough to get caught out in public, it'll be allowed. Um,
Yeah.
and and then and also the fact that they can't get their story straight. I mean, immediately after the show, Hunter was saying that, well, John wanted him, so we got him. And now, like I think last night they were saying that, well, about a month ago we called him and we said, hey, time to come home. So they can't even get the story straight. Um, and look, I mean, over the past 48 hours, look, I've seen a lot of people like super pissed off about it on, social media. And, of course, like for every 10 people that are super pissed off, maybe like one or two of them will actually follow through. And that's not, you know, I don't know. I guess, I don't know, man. I mean,
That's the thing too.
and
Also, I'm with you on that, the accountability of the whole situation. But here's the reality. To me, I go back to keeping it simple. They're allegations. They're not convictions. They're not charges. He was never charged. And crying out loud, he wasn't even a person interested in the whole lawsuit to begin with. So unless he was a person of interest, there's really nothing to discuss here. I mean, the guy should be at a basic level, regardless if it's pro wrestling or being a janitor. Okay, the guy should be allowed to earn a living as long as he's not been prosecuted or something of that nature. And we need to keep it simple. Look, we may have our opinions about whether we think he got involved and did things. Those are the opinions. But at the end of the day, there's still results on both sides here, not just with the fact that WWE bring a guy who could be problematic, but also decide that Maybe he didn't do any of these things you alleged to probably happen. Also, too, and yet we're judging him based on what we in our minds made up minds up about this guy anyway. And there's a slippery slope
And
there
that,
on that end as well
yeah,
too.
and that's the thing, because basically, okay, because I've only read a couple of lines from the court documents. I haven't read all of it. I know some people who have actually read all or most of it.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess those are things that, like you said, they are alleged. And I feel kind of scummy even talking using this kind of language, because it feels look, in my listening, we are not excusing anything here.
No, of course not. We
No,
don't know
but
what happened. We can't say we
but
won't.
the question is, do you outright fire somebody because they were alleged to have done something that has not been proven, and they are not, and there's no penalty being sought towards them toward any of these allegations. Um, and look, basically, look, I mean, they're taking this chance because he's Brock Lesnar. Okay.
Of
Um,
course,
they wouldn't be bringing back Heath. If it was Heath Slater, then Heath Slater would not be back. Okay.
no,
Okay.
no,
And we can be honest about that. Okay. They feel that there's a potential return on investment that is worth whatever PR hit they're going to take by bringing him back. That's at the
yeah,
end of the day, that's what it is. Um,
right,
Now, I guess so. That's it, right? That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. Um, and again, unless no, like if it comes out as this case proceeds, if it comes out that if he ends up being accused of actually doing something and not just sending texts, then it's a different matter.
right,
But for now, he is alleged to have basically, at least just from the stuff that I read. Okay, so please forgive me if there's more stuff in there that I have not read. Please forgive me, am I listening? But from what I read and saw, he was named for having basically solicited some acts from Janelle Grant, right? Because basically Vince told him that, hey, I got this girl. She'll do some things for you if you like, and he contacted her about doing some things. You know, that's what's alleged in the lawsuit. But again, he's not being named as a defendant. She's not seeking any damages from him. He's not been involved in any criminal inquiry. Um, if and look, this is a suit that probably will get settled out of court, so it probably will not actually. We will never have it probably proven or disproven in court whether he did any of these things. So we're talking about firing somebody over allegations that are probably never going to be proven one way or the other.
right.
Um, that is, I mean, you kind of are in slippery slope territory, and with that, um, is it going to make look? It's going to make things weird. But the next couple of weeks, yeah. And we'll
People
see
forget
if
about it. Everything,
yeah,
everything, everything. People forget about it because yeah, people are reacting now, and you know what? In a month or so, no one's gonna care. Let's be real about that.
well,
Straight up.
the other part of it is that you got to remember, like, we're the exception as far as knowing about this stuff. Most of the people who watch the show, they just watch the show.
Yeah.
They are not reading news stories about all of these things. They're not. Look, I dare say most of the audience doesn't know the Hulk Hogan stuff.
They don't.
I
Sure
mean,
enough.
they just don't know. And most of the audience does not know. Most people do not know. Um, they just don't know at all. They don't know anything about it. And so you guys, I mean that's and we're in the bubble. So yes, we watch the shows. Yes, we read reports and we read news stories, and we do all of this digging and all of these things. Most people do not. Most people they turn on their TV on Monday night and they watch Raw. They turn on SmackDown. They watch SmackDown. When the show is over, they turn the TV off, and they're not thinking about anything wrestling related until it's time to watch another show.
Right.
That's most of the audience. Okay. So, because Because some people have said, "Well, did you hear the reaction it got?" Well, again, because most of the people watching don't know. So to most of the people watching, it's like, "Oh shit, Brock Lesnar's back."
Yeah.
And so for those of us who know, we gotta I mean, in making your assessment of, why did they bring him back and blah 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 blah. It's most most of the customers don't know. The ones who do know about it are the ones who are most likely to stick around, even knowing it,
Yeah.
right? Because those of us who were that deep in the bubble and that invested in all of this, we're the ones who are least likely to leave because we're too invested.
Yeah.
you know?
One of my friends had mentioned, what makes this what makes this different from Vince? Well, with Vince, number one, there's multiple accusations, not just this one, and not to mention, um, shareholders made a decision on that. The shareholders made a decision that if Vince McMahon still owned the company outright, Vince McMahon will still be here no matter what. The
Yes.
fact that you have shareholders involved is the reason why he's gone. Big difference.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. If we were still in the days where he was the sole owner of the company, he would have never been gone.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is, I mean, the only reason he's even getting sued is because he stopped paying her. So if he had kept paying her,
We only know what this
he'd be
situation.
he'd still be in charge. And that would not change any of the history, right? That would not change any of the stuff that he actually did. It's just she wouldn't have sued him, right? So because he would, as long as he kept paying, right, as he agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and like I said, Vince was named as a defendant, right? Brock was not. Um, and like so, yes, we're doing a lot of legalese. We're doing a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, so, but we are not sitting here saying that from a moral standpoint that everything's great, everything nothing to see here. But they did a calculus, right? Most of your audience doesn't know anyway. Number one, and so to them, there's the potential return on investment is worth whatever hit they take, if they even take one, because you know, and they
Yeah.
probably won't. Because again, most of the audience doesn't know, right?
Right. Mhm. One more thing that came out of this, some rumors came out of this also this yesterday after the show. There's been some rumors now that because of how well this SummerSlam went, obviously, WrestleMania is 2 nights already.
Yeah,
Sam, this is the first time that they've done 2 nights. So now, following this is according to Andrew Baydala, who is a wrestling writer or whatever it may be, on Twitter or whatever. He says, following the success of SummerSlam in New Jersey this past weekend, the discussion of hosting the more 2 night events has intensified within WWE/TKO. With the earlier start-finish time, impressive revenue, and attendance numbers, it's clear that the 2 night format resonated well with fans. TKO WWE prepares to be capitalizing on the success as plans are already underway to introduce more 2 night PLEs in 2026. Survivor Series and Survivor Series 2026 and the Rumble in 2027 are at top of the list. But it looks like Money in the Bank might also be in the mix for this format. Now, you, myself, and DJ on text were discussing the 2 night event thing, where the idea of them doing more 2 night events for the Big Five, pretty much Big Five, which we're seeing here. Obviously, you know how I feel. I'm completely against it. I'm against the 2 night SummerSlam at this point. Be honest to you.
um, yeah.
DJ,
Well,
DJ made a great point though on the text. He's against it, but he realizes it's going to happen anyway. It's cresting. The wave is cresting. Just let it happen, and we'll go from there. I think we're going to go there because any way that the company can make more money and revenue, they will try to do at any cost. That doesn't mean now these PLEs will be stadium shows either. I can still see them doing 2 nights in an arena, small level, but in an arena, that's still making money for the company. I can still
yeah,
see them doing money in the bank because Money in the Bank isn't a stadium show, for the record. But maybe,
They
but
because
maybe
they
you can
tried
still
it,
flip.
they tried to make it one a couple of years ago, and it didn't sell enough, so
Right.
they pulled it back.
Survivor Series too. Also, Survivor Series is an arena show, not a stadium show.
Yeah, well, this year they're gonna be at the, I think it's San Diego, I think.
Mm,
Um, I just
your thoughts?
okay, okay, WrestleMania and SummerSlam have traditionally been long cards with, sometimes often double-digit matches, 10 matches, 12 matches.
Of course.
Alright, breaking those up into 2 days is feasible, okay? 'Cause they look at, 6 matches each night, okay? And that right. Um,
What's the
but
calendar help too also? One is near spring break. Another one is in the summertime. You
yeah.
can you
Now,
can justify that to some degree.
but now, like, the Royal Rumble has like, they've struggled to make any type of card beyond the Rumble matches for the past few years. Like, it's been a real struggle to book any matches on that card other than the 2 outside of the 2 Rumbles that people give a shit about. Um,
A lot of times, because of the fact that a lot of people aren't in the Rumble itself. So let's do double duty tonight.
yeah, and then the fact and then, you know, the whatever title, so usually they'll have, like past few years, they've had, like, a couple of title matches and then 2 Rumbles, but, like, the title matches, like, there's been no drama to them, because 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 the whoever was holding the title at the time, we knew they were gonna take it into WrestleMania, right? And so you end up with a bunch of kinda no heat matches, outside of the 2 Rumbles, and, I mean, it's been a real struggle for the past several years to book a card that people give a shit about outside of the 2 Rumble matches. Um, and so making that a 2-day thing, um, good luck. And, Money in the Bank, it's a kind of the same thing, right? I mean, the the ladder matches are, what people give a shit about, and it's a
The
struggle
format,
to book that.
right?
Uh,
But the format you can actually. So with Rumble and Money in the Bank, you can technically make that work on the format by basically put one Rumble match on one night and one match on night and build around there. Same with Money in the Bank. You put one in the women's match, Money in the Bank match on one night and the men's match on one match. That's easy to format. It's everything around it you have to figure out. Money in the Bank may be a little easier to do. Like I said, I see those shows being honestly. I think Rumble can work only if it's an arena show. I don't know as popular as Royal Rumble is, and obviously they now do stadiums for that now. I don't know if attendance will be as hot for that coming out of Christmas. Number one, let's start there. Okay, if you are someone, and we discussed in the podcast in the past, that most wrestling fans are middle class people trying to make a living that can't afford this shit. Okay, so if you're trying to choose between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, which is literally 2.5 weeks apart, no, 2.5 months apart in the timeline, most folks are going to choose WrestleMania because it's a bigger show. Okay, which means that you may hurt Rumble in the end. So the only way I can see a Rumble working to where it looks visually pleasing to the eye is doing 2 nights in an arena. But that might take away from some of the, I guess, the money because depending on where you book it, because Rumble's still getting 40,000 plus in an arena, whereas most arenas are 20,000 in size. I don't know how you make that work with the numbers and all that, but I just don't see that working. And I think we discussed this about in the past about at what point do you start pricing out your hardcore fans of the stuff? This is not WrestleMania. SummerSlam is SummerSlam. I don't
yeah,
know if you can justify doing a Royal Rumble and a Money in the Bank and a Survivor Series, especially 2 nights. 2 nights. I just don't think that will work. But I could be wrong. People have
um,
money to spend. I don't know.
well, because all right, look, I went to SummerSlam because it was in New Jersey.
It's
because
convenience. Yeah.
yes, it was relatively easy for me to get to. Um, but just you know, that's a lot. And then also in some of those events, stretching them out to 2 days, like some of those events are not that interesting, really, right? I mean, WrestleMania is WrestleMania. Yes, you can have it over 2 days and maintain the same level of interest over the 2 days because it's WrestleMania, right? And SummerSlam, same thing, right? You can stretch it out and maintain interest over those 2 days. But Money in the Bank is not like Money in the Bank has been one of those shows where it's like, okay, we get in, we watch it, and it just you watch it that day and then you're done, right?
Mhm.
Um, the Royal Rumble has been one of those shows where like you watch it that day and you're done. Um, and same with Survivor Series. It's just those shows are not the kind of thing that you make a weekend out of. And again, the size of the card, man. Like the Rumble this year had 4 matches. Last year had 4 matches. I think the year before that had 4 or 5 matches. Like it's a short card anyway. Turning that into a 2 night thing. Um,
Unless you're bloating your roster even more, it'll require that. And then,
well, because that's the problem especially with the Rumble because you got 30 people in each one. I mean, somebody's got to, you're gonna have people pulling double duty.
although you do have them having the relationship with the TNA now, and so maybe you can use some of those people on those platforms to justify it, I guess. But again, I just don't know how you can look. I'm all for trying it. Like it's not my money. If they want to give us more wrestling to watch, I'm not gonna complain about it. I'll take it. It's not costing me shit. But I'll tell you right now, if it, 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 there's a risk of this. I think there's a risk here. I think TKO is playing a little bit fire here because again, this is not the UFC audience, dude. Wrestling fans are mostly middle class people who don't have that kind of deep pockets, and you're really stretching thin here. Like I'm really curious how this year's WrestleMania is going to go, in terms of attendance, because I know they got what was the final tally on this year's WrestleMania per night, like
Like
50,000.
55, I think, each night. I
Okay,
think.
yeah, and that was considered low, right? And considering to what the stadium is, right?
Yeah, and then also like, and look, remember, like, okay, you're gearing up to do Vegas once. Okay, fine, but like going back there, again, like given how much everything costs, and like in Vegas is actually that there've been some reports basically that a lot of their business is down because a lot of the other events are too expensive. Like all that stuff at the Sphere and a lot of the casino stuff. People have complained about the casino stuff being too expensive and people getting priced out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think, and it's one of those things. Like, I mean, yeah, they're going to keep pushing, but well, like because they canceled an event this weekend, because they were doing another one of those. That comedian guy, they were bringing him back to do another show, and they barely sold any tickets, and they canceled it. And that's just, again, like you said, it's not the same audience. Like, and look, when they showed, Trump on the Jumbotron, like he got booed as bad as Hogan did the Netflix debut, right? And whereas UFC is a full on MAGA audience and atmosphere and everything, you know.
Yeah, WWE's more 60-40 liberal conservative, not even higher.
Yeah, because well, like 40% of they keep telling us that 40% of the audience are women, and there's a sizable number of kids, and then there's a sizable percentage of the audience is people of color, and between women, children, and people of color, there's not a whole lot of there's a whole lot less MAGA there than at UFC events.
They better start identifying the audience, man, because it's look. I think next year's gonna be a big telltale. I wonder. I think they're gonna wait. Let's see how WrestleMania does next year. Um, I don't think tickets are on sale yet for WrestleMania yet. I don't think.
No, not
But
yet. No.
let's see what WrestleMania does next year. In terms of now, I will say if Brock is back and some of these names are back in the picture, um, it may sell on the backs of these stars being back in the fold. That may save them, but I'm very curious if there's a gumption to have people want to spend once again. And I know this because my buddy of mine went to night two, and you were correct, Rob. He spent $700 for his upper deck tickets for night two, not for both nights, for night two alone to sit on top of the stadium, not including all the stuff around that he had to get, a hotel room and all the stuff, Ubers and food. And is there gumption for that? We shall see. And I think depending on how WrestleMania does this year too, if they start seeing some deterioration from audiences because of the price of the prices, maybe they say, you know what, let's pull back on the idea.
Yeah, and also just the fact that I mean the we always said the business runs in cycles.
Yep.
And look, no matter how good your stuff you're writing is, you know, at some point the business is going to take a dip because
Always
it just
does.
does. And then
Always.
not to make a political statement here, but depending on how some certain things shake out as far as you know inflation and the job situation across the country, that's a whole nother thing to figure. Um,
Right.
so
Totally.
yeah, they're well, yeah, look, they're going to try it, and I'm not here for it. Like again, because to me those other shows, again, those Money in the Bank is not something you make a weekend out of as a viewer. It never has been. I've never watched Money in the Bank, even when I thought it was a really good show. I never watched that and thought, okay, yeah, yeah, let's do another night of this. You
Yeah.
know,
No.
I never have.
They're trying to stretch it. Look, they are trying to stretch every dollar, but I think what point does the bubble burst? It's the same conversation I'm having about the NFL. At what point? Because remember they just sold more rights to the ESPN. They're getting 10% of shares now from ESPN Disney. At
Yeah.
what point does
Now,
that become the burst? You know what I'm saying? There's a crescendo you're gonna hit here before people
now,
say,
what the NFL is very smartly done over the years is no matter how much they dip their toes into, this thing over here, that thing over there, they still always offer most of their product for free.
yeah,
Um,
TV, yeah,
and
Ab-
like 'cause even when they put games on Prime or they put games on Netflix locally, it's still on your local channel.
yeah.
So
You're seeing something, some football.
yeah, and so they're at the very least they're not pricing out the local audience for those teams. And so the NFL up to this point they've always been smart enough to not shut people out. At least not at the very least the local market doesn't get shut out no matter where they're broadcasting the game, right? Um so you don't feel like you're being priced out even if you can't afford to go to the stadium. You don't feel like you're being priced out because you can still watch the game, right? Um But what they're running the risk of here is they're running the risk of people who have been going to these shows for all these years. There are people who go to WrestleMania every year, right?
Yeah,
There are people who go to all the PLEs or most of them in the year. They travel, right? Um, those people, you're risking pricing those people out, right? And then who takes their place? Again, these people who are just there to be there, right? And they're not as enthusiastic. They're just there because it's a big event or
yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think they need well, and look, this Vince, for all the bullshit, for all the things that were wrong with Vince McMahon, Vince understood his audience, and at least he understood how to make his shows available to his audience so that they would keep coming. So that as long as as long as they liked the product, they at the time they would keep coming. These things that they're doing, like a lot of these things that they've been trying this year, are things that even if you like what's on the shows, you can be turned off from going or turned off from watching,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so, we'll see. I mean, if they're smart, they'll figure out how to adapt, right?
Yeah.
You know, well, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like when they do get burned a few times, will they adapt or will they try to double down?
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get you out of here. This year is also the we love to talk about anniversaries here. This year is the 25-year anniversary of SummerSlam 2000, which took place August 27th in 2000 in Raleigh, North Carolina. The attendance, of course, there was 18,128. The buy rate was 570,000. Now, 2000, of course, right in the thralls of the Attitude Era, of course.
Yes.
The WE was red hot at this point now. This card, very interesting card here. This is a 10-match card. By the way, one night, SummerSlam, one night. We had a 6-man tag match between right the center of Steve Richards, Bill Buchanan, and the Godfather, or the Goodfather rather, because he turned to the Goodfather because that was the whole angle. Defeating
Yes.
Too Cool of Sky Too Hotty, Grandmaster Sexay, and Rikishi. We had X Pac defeat the Road Dogg in a singles match. We had an intergender tag match for the IC title between which Eddie Guerrero and China defeated Val Venus and Trish Stratus. We had Jerry Lawler defeat Taz. That's weird.
Oh,
Steve
I
Blackman.
remember that match. Yeah, I remember that match
You
actually.
do? Okay. Steve Blackman defeated Shane McMahon for the Hardcore Championship in a Hardcore match. In a 2 out of 3 falls match, we had Chris Benoit defeat Chris Jericho, 2-1. In the, I believe this is the first TLC match ever for the tag team titles. Edge and Christian retain and defeat the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys. We had a stink face match in which the Cat with Al Snow defeated Terry with Perry Saturn. A singles match between The Undertaker and Kane ended in a no contest. And then, of course, the main event in a triple threat match for the world title, The Rock retains, defeating Triple H and Kurt Angle. So you see this. Did you watch this in real time?
Yes.
I think I did. But 2000 was kind of weird because by 2000 I was watching still, but I was kind of in and out week to week. I got a little burnt out. I think because I was peak WE in 1999, going 2000, and then when Austin got hurt and The Rock was the guy, I think 2000 I was kind of in and out of wrestling. I was still watching what was going on, and I might have watched this show also, but I was starting to really come out a little. I was edging out a little bit now at this point.
Oh
But I
well,
do remember the show.
yeah. Because the Attitude Era, it actually peaked in '99.
I agree,
As
100%.
far, I mean, I'm talking as far as like audience numbers and stuff like that. 99 was when it peaked, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because, in '99 you still had Austin at height of powers, and
Mm-hmm.
'99 is when The Rock really. That's when he really solidified his position. So
Right.
you had both of them going at the same time in '99, right?
Yep.
2000, Austin was gone most of the year. So there was a dip, right? Because there were people, there were people who tuned in to see him, and he wasn't there, right? And then, also, as as the WCW audience began to kind of drop off,
Mm-hmm.
there, you lost some of the channel flippers, right? Because there are people who were WCW fans, but they would flip over to Raw back, to see what was going on over there sometimes. But fewer of those people were watching WCW anymore, and they were not going to just watch Raw instead, right? They flipped channels because they were already watching WCW, and people got itchy trigger fingers and whatnot, right? But once the thing that they were originally were there to watch was not really doing it for them anymore, they were not there to flip channels over to Raw. So yeah, I mean things started to. It wasn't a deep decline or anything in 2000, but I mean, things did start to kind of level off in
Oh
2000.
yeah,
So,
yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think that's this is not a knock on the Rock, but to me, the Rock was always better when Austin was around.
um, yeah, well, I mean, because like them playing off of each other, or them like Austin having his corner of the show and Rock having his corner of the show,
Yeah,
right? Um, yeah, those I mean those things were kind of, or if they, they're facing each other, right? That's when but what's funny is though that the ring work got better in 2000 because
it, Guerrero
because
came
that's
by.
when
Jericho was there by then. Benoit was there, so a lot of the WCW
yeah, Eddie
regime.
Guerrero.
Yep.
Yeah, so the quality of the ring work definitely went up in 2000. So it
Yeah.
was an interesting show, but again, looking back at some of those cards from the Attitude Era, a lot of those pay-per-views, they were like, in terms of quality, they were 2 or 3 match shows. And but because everything was so hot at that point, a lot of the matches that we look at now, like, when you look at the card now on Wikipedia or whatever, you're like, "Oh, that doesn't sound good."
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff was over back then because, like, everything was so hot that, like, basically the whole show was over, right? So, even stuff that wasn't any good. I mean, so
Yeah. Like I said, I was really like in and out at this point now. I watched in 2001, obviously when Austin Rock met in Mania, and then I was in and out again in 2001, and then by 2002 was the last gasp, and then by 2000, middle 2002, I was gone. So 2000 was my leveling off point for WWE. Like I said, my peak fandom was in, obviously the 80s, between 80, 87 and 92 was peak fandom. And then I had a peak fandom again in 96 to 99, which I shared with WCW as well, too, because Hogan turning heel was what really got me back, really watching both products. But then like by 2000, I was starting to level off at that point. So like I said, it was still really good, but it was not. It was definitely wasn't the same. 99, I agree with you, is definitely peak Attitude Era at that point. So, anything else I want to touch on here before we get out of here? I cleared the panel today. So, all right, go ahead and plug one and plug.
all right, so, as always, every week you can hear me on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, DJ and Jason. Uh, this week, obviously, we're going to go heavy on SummerSlam. Every couple of weeks, you can hear me on the Rob the Genius Podcast, and you
Yes,
can yes, and you can read some stuff that I write at robthegenius.com, and you can catch me on mainly Blue Sky, but I still occasionally tweet something at RB191, and I think that's everything.
yeah, and of course I'm on X as well at EJ Christian 7. Of course, Falls anywhere. The hiatus, I guess, is over. I guess now since I cut that short by a week, but we'll see how that goes going forward. On Twitter, like I said, Christian 7 on the podcast. Of course, you can watch, of course, our Earnestly Pod on YouTube, clips of the show at TikTok, Earnestly Pod, as well as Instagram. Until the next one, we will talk to you guys soon, and